When Betsy Hilton and Joe Denton moved to their new Mueller home in East Austin, they brought their garden with them.
We came here because we've been wanting a new home in central Austin. And we didn't, we looked at the houses in the suburbs and stuff, and we decided we didn't want to have a commute.
Even though the garden's much smaller than the one they left, Joe's design invites an expansive sensation. And he found a spot for the 120 plants he moved from their old house.
About a year and a half in advance to our move, I started repotting a lot of the stuff that I had planted over the years, and also started propagating plants as well, because there was a number of roses that I wanted to propagate, and that had been planted by the original builder of the home, which was built in 1941, and also plants that friends and neighbors had given to us. I wanted to save those, as a remembrance of them.
They didn't have to give up their love of backyard wildlife either. Even in a small garden, they have all the elements to qualify as a certified backyard habitat. With an old log, Joe anchored a bird bath for garden art with an essential purpose. To give his plants a good start, Joe's first job was to re-engineer the soil.
Of course, being the old airport, these soils lay essentially fallow or under the runways for a number of years, and I think our particular house location was where the rental cars were from the old airport. And so the soils are something to be dealt with. And the good example is that corner bed, because I double dug the soil out. So I went down at least 12 inches in depth just to get the soils out of that corner. Now, part of the soils I used in the corner itself to go back into it, but when I did put the soils back into it, I tried to mix in at least 50% compost and mulch into that because it's such heavy clays. And then I also mixed either crushed granite or sand or gravel, and usually a combination of those to again enhance the drainage, as well as the crushed granite provides a lot of micronutrients.
In the backyard, he moved soil away from the house to create levels.
I cut this area down by about 9 inches up against the house, and coming across with fairly level, but with enough slope to it so that it has enough drainage. So I built the slope into the patio as well. And then we actually ended up hauling off 6 yards of dirt from the yard to get it to a level stage.
Before he got to that project, he'd already staged his rock wall raised bed.
I knew kind of what my elevations are going to be, so I excavated my wall down, and then I put my wall in with a kind of a modified dry stack method. So I was cementing and mortaring in the back half of the stone to try to leave the front half of the stone to be more of as a dry stack. And then the next step was to put in the patio itself, and I hired a couple of guys to help me excavate the soil out, and so we took all the soil away that we needed to, and then I put in 3 inches of road base material and compacted that, and then over that we put a 1 inch of sand. And then my son and I, we started laying the pavers, and over a period, I guess 1 weekend, we put all the patio in.
For the lower level, he went with flagstones.
Partially just to kind of visually break up the area. None of this is mortared in, so it keeps up with the permeability.
Joe's design, with bring-along and new plants, makes a big statement in diversity of form, fragrance, color, and texture. All he needed was a fountain, a gift from friends.
We like to entertain, and this is a great place for that, and it gives us just a soothing background to just to sit here and relax. When it's cool enough, we'll open up the windows and you can hear the sound of the fountain inside the house.
In a narrow spot outside the fence, they grow food and herbs. Native rain lilies naturalize among the edibles. Since Mueller wants to connect neighbors but still respect privacy, fences cannot be impervious barriers. Betsy and Joe went with a see-through design framed with roses and vines. Builders were required to install native plants. Homeowners can tend their gardens as they wish, like drought-tough, fragrant old blush framing Betsy and Joe's front porch.
The only restriction that you really have is on the plants that are on the do not plant list for the city of Austin.
In this everyone knows everyone community, neighbors often meet over the low garden fence.
We like the metal fencing that you see like in New Orleans and places that we visited. And so originally we had thought about even having a decorative fence all the way around the yard, but we ultimately decided just to have an accent corner, just to kind of anchor that corner of the lot. And of course it also provides another place to plant roses. I grew up in Fort Worth, and there was a house next to my elementary school there in Fort Worth that I walked by every day. And the fellow's name, he lived alone in the house, he was an elderly man, his name was Mobley. And Mr. Mobley had flowers all over his yard. And I never really thought about it at the time, but over the years I have come to recognize that as kind of an influence on me. And the sharing of the flowers, just people, you'll be able to walk by your house and see the flowers and to essentially share those flowers with the people who pass by. And so that's been kind of one of the things that has come out in, I guess in my viewpoint. I want to put things in that I can share with other people. And so to me, that's the greatest compliment, when people can walk by and to see your plants and appreciate them just for being there. And that's one of my goals, was just to share.